Welcome to example program. In this video, we will see how we can swap the numbers stored in two different variables. Now here, we will be using another variable to do this. And here, let's assume that we have two variables, num1 and num2. Now let's say this num1 variable is containing the value 10 and this num2 variable is containing the value 20. Now you can swap the numbers stored in two different variables in many ways, and one way is by using another variable. Let's say we have another variable and let's call it as temp. You can give any name. Now what we're going to do is, first we will store the value of either num1 or num2 in this temp variable. For example, let's say we will store the value of num1 in this temp variable. So the temp variable will contain 10. Now the next thing that we do is we will store the value of num2 in num1. So num2 is containing 20. We will store that in num1. So now previously num1 was containing 10 and after this num1 will contain 20. But the previous value of num1, which was 10, is present in this temp variable. Okay. Now the next thing that we do is we will store the value in this temp variable in this num2 variable. So the temp variable is containing 10. So the num2 variable will contain 10 now. Now here, if we look at this, then num1 and num2 variables value has been swapped. Num1 was previously containing 10 and now it is containing 20. Num2 was containing 20 previously and now it is containing 10. Okay, now let's see how we can write the C++ program. Here I have written some code. We have included the IOStream header file and then we are using the namespace std, and then I have the main function, which is the entry point of our program from our perspective. Now here in this program, we will be asking the user to enter two numbers. We will store the user input in two different variables. Then we will swap the values of those two variables and display that. So the first thing that we do is we will declare the variables that we need. And I'm going to declare my variables as integer type. And for the first variable, I'm going to give the name num1. And for the second variable, I'm going to name it as num2. Now we need another variable as we have seen before, and we will declare that later when we need it. Now the next thing that we do is we will ask the user to enter two values and we will store that in num1 and num2 variable. So I'm going to specify the message here by using cout, and I'm going to say enter value for num1, and let's insert a new line, and then let's take the input from the user by using cin, and let's store that in the num1 variable. Okay, now we have read one value from the user and we have stored that in this num1 variable. Let's do the same for the num2 variable. So let's say enter the value for num2, and we will take the input and we will store that in num2 variable. Now we have the two numbers in two different variables. Now let's print out the values stored in these two variables before swapping them. So I'm going to use cout, and I'm going to say before swapping num1, and let's insert num1 equal to, let's insert num1, and it will be num2 equal to num2, and let's end the line. Okay, now here we are just displaying the message saying that num1 is containing this value and num2 variable is containing this value. Okay, now let's swap the values of these two variables. Now as I said before, we will be using another variable to do this, and let's declare that variable. I'm going to call that variable as temp. You can give any name for that variable. So the first thing that we do is we will store the value of either num1 or num2 in this temp variable. So it will be temp equal to, I'm going to perform num1. I'm going to store the value of this num1 variable in this temp. And then what we're going to do is we will store the value of num2 in num1 variable. So it will be num1 equal to num2. Now the last thing that we do is we will store the value which is present in the temp variable in our num2 variable. So it will be num2 equal to temp. Now we have swapped the numbers stored in this num1 and num2 variable. Now let's print out the message. So I'm gonna copy this cout statement and I'm gonna paste that here, and I'm gonna say after swapping. Okay, now we have written the program. Let's build and run this. Enter the value for num1. I'm gonna enter 25. Enter the value for num2. I'm gonna enter 68. It says before swapping num1 equal to 25, num2 equal to 68. You guys can see that's the way we have entered the values for num1 and num2. And it says after swapping num1 is 68 and num2 is 25. So here we can see that the values of these two variables have been swapped. Now you can swap the numbers stored in two different variables in many different ways, and this is one of that. And you can do this without using the temporary variable, and I'm gonna make a video on that, and I'm gonna put the link in the description box. You guys can check that out. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, then hit the like button. If you don't like it, then hit the dislike button. If you have anything to say, then write that in the comment box. For more tutorials like this, do subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later in the next video.